Hello, I'm Sophie.
And I am Zach, and this is the 8th lesson, and welcome to class. For today's topic, we have parts of the body for General English B1.
მოგესალმებით. მე სოფო ვარ, ეს კი ზაკია. კეთილი იყოს თქვენი დაბრუნება ჩვენს ტელესკოლაში. დღევანდელი ჩვენი გაკვეთილის თემაა სხეულის ნაწილები. თქვენ უყურებთ ზოგადი ინგლისურს დონე B1-ს.
So for the agenda today, like always, we will start with the vocabulary, then move on to the reading comprehension, and right in the middle, we have the grammar, and so on. After that, we have the summary, and lastly, our favorite part, the homework.
ვიდრე გაკვეთილზე გადავიდოდეთ, მოდით ერთად ვნახოთ დღევანდელი დღის გეგმა. დღევანდელი ჩვენი გაკვეთილი, როგორც ყოველთვის, დაიწყება ლექსიკის შესწავლით, ამის შემდეგ წავიკითხავთ ტექსტს, ამის შემდეგ გვექნება გრამატიკული სავარჯიშოები, შემდეგ ერთად შევაჯამებთ დღევანდელ გაკვეთილს და დავასრულებთ ყველასათვის საყვარელი საშინაო დავალებით. Shall we start?
Let's start.
So, Zach, have you ever had any serious accidents?
No, not really. I've fallen off my bike a couple of times, but besides that, nothing too bad. How about you?
Well, I haven't had any serious accidents, but little mild ones maybe, yes, like fall down from the tree here and there a little bit.
A couple of trees.
A couple of trees, I would say, yeah. And that's it.
Okay, cool. So, we are first going to start with the vocabulary, and we have parts of the body.
დღევანდელ ჩვენს გაკვეთილს დავიწყებთ ლექსიკის შესწავლით, როგორც უკვე ვთქვით და თქვენს წინაშეა სხეულის ნაწილები, რომელთაც ერთად შევისწავლით დღეს.
So, first, what do you call this part of the body? What do you think, Sophie?
Okay, I know how we call it in Georgian, it's tavi, and in English it must be head.
Exactly, and it's head.
And it is located exactly in the center.
Exactly, right? And next, we have this part of the body. What do you think that could be?
That must be knee.
Exactly, right? Knee.
And in Georgian, it is mukhli.
Good. And then next, we have this part of the body. What should we call that?
That's leg.
Leg, exactly, right?
და ქართულად კი ფეხი.
And next, we have this part, which is called the neck.
კისერი.
And next, we have this. In Georgian, it is called
ცხვირი.
And in English, it is a nose.
Nose. And next, we have stomach, right here. And in Georgian, it's called mutseli.
And next, inside the neck, we have something called the throat. And in Georgian, it is called?
And in Georgian, we call it qeli.
And next, we have the little things at the end of our feet. What is that called?
We call it titebi.
Titebi.
So actually in English and in Georgian, they have different names, right? You have fingers and you have toes on your feet. But in Georgian, we call it titebi for both of the parts.
Oh, very good to know. And now we have this part of your body. In Georgian, what's it called?
Glavi.
Awesome. And then next, we have this part. What is it in Georgian?
That's back in English. And in Georgian, it would be zurgi.
And next, we have this part, which is the chest.
And in Georgian, it's called gerdi.
And next, we have the ear.
True. Quri.
And we have two of them, like usually.
Definitely.
Yeah. And after that, we have right here called the elbow.
Which in Georgian is called idaqui.
And next, we have our fingers, or one finger.
Yes, we talked about it already, titebi.
And next, we have a foot.
Terpi. And finally,
this part is the hand, or hands.
Xeli an xelebi.
So now let's go on to our next vocabulary section, where we have a few more words.
ახლა კი გადავიდეთ ლექსიკის მეორე ნაწილზე, სადაც შევისწავლით ახალ სიტყვებს.
So let's go on to our first word, and it is twist, and it is a verb, and it is when you twist your ankle when you're walking and your foot goes like this.
Twist in Georgian means გადაბრუნება. Twist, გადაბრუნება. Twist, გადაბრუნება. Twist, გადაბრუნება.
And next we have swell, and it is a verb, and it is when you maybe hit your arm or your hand, and it gets bigger after pain.
Swell is a verb, and in Georgian it means შეშუპება. Swell, შეშუპება. Swell, შეშუპება. Swell, შეშუპება.
And our next word is sprain, and it is a verb, and it is when you tear or stretch a part of a muscle.
Sprain in Georgian means სახსრის ან მყესის დაჭიმვა. Sprain, სახსრის ან მყესის დაჭიმვა. Sprain, სახსრის ან მყესის დაჭიმვა. Sprain, სახსრის ან მყესის დაჭიმვა.
And next we have fracture, which is a verb, and is when you partially break a bone, when it doesn't go all the way through or totally snap, but when it's cracked.
Fracture in Georgian means გაბზარვა. Fracture, გაბზარვა. Fracture, გაბზარვა. Fracture, გაბზარვა. Our next word is fall down. Fall down is a phrasal verb, and in English it means...
It means when you're walking or running and you trip over something or you just lose your footing and you fall over on the ground.
Fall down, დავარდნა. Fall down, დავარდნა. Fall down, დავარდნა.
And next we have bruise, which can be a noun or a verb. And it is if you get hit with something like a ball or a rock or something like that, and it leaves a brown mark.
Bruise in Georgian means დაჟეჟვა ან დაჟეჟილობა. Bruise, დაჟეჟვა ან დაჟეჟილობა. Bruise, დაჟეჟვა ან დაჟეჟილობა. Bruise, დაჟეჟვა ან დაჟეჟილობა.
And next we have burn, which is also a verb or a noun. And it is when you touch something very hot or if you are burnt by fire and it hurts your skin or your body.
Burn in Georgian means დაწვა ან დამწვრობა. Burn, დაწვა ან დამწვრობა. Burn, დაწვა ან დამწვრობა. Burn, დაწვა ან დამწვრობა.
And next we have scratch, which also is a verb and a noun. And it is if you are like if a cat scratches you and it gets you like that and it causes a marking.
Scratch in Georgian means გაკაწვრა ან ნაკაწრი. Scratch, გაკაწვრა ან ნაკაწრი. Scratch, გაკაწვრა ან ნაკაწრი. Scratch, გაკაწვრა ან ნაკაწრი.
So now let's move on to our first vocabulary activity and match the words with the correct pictures.
ახლა კი გადავიდეთ ჩვენს პირველ ლექსიკურ დავალებაზე. ამ დავალებისთვის ჩვენ უნდა შევუსაბამოთ მოცემული სიტყვები მოცემულ ფოტოებს. Let's start?
Let's start.
Let's look over the words first. We have burn, sprain, fall down, swell, twist, fracture, bruise, and scratch. Right? So and our first word is burn. So what do you think? Which picture best depicts burn?
Oh, I think I know. It looks like it's picture C because it looks like the child is touching something hot and it burns his skin and makes his skin red.
You're absolutely right. Picture C is burn. Let's have a look at the next one now. We have sprain. Which picture do you think best describes the word sprain?
I think it's picture H because it looks like someone is grabbing their arm and is stretching their muscles, doing this to feel if it hurts or not.
It must be. So you're absolutely right. The picture H is sprain. The next one is fall down. Something that happened to all of us, I guess. It must be picture D, a person on the ladder, right?
Yeah, it looks like it. The ladder broke and he's falling down.
Definitely. And our next word is swell. and it's also quite obvious. As we said, swell is when your hand or any part of the body gets bigger than it is supposed to be.
Exactly.
So the best picture depicting this is B.
I think so too.
Swell. And the next we have twist. It's related to your ankle when you twist it, and I think picture
A shows that pretty well because it looks like the person didn't step quite right and definitely twisted their ankle.
True. And the next we have fracture. And a fracture is, as you said, when it's not completely broken, but when you have a crack in the bone, right?
Exactly. So that should be picture E.
Absolutely right. And the next we have bruise. Is when you had some kind of an injury and your skin goes a little bit, changes the color, and it hurts when you touch it, right?
Especially if you're hit by something.
So it must be?
It must be picture G.
Absolutely right. Exactly. And the last one, a cat related very often because they scratch a lot with their paws. Picture F, right?
Definitely, 100%. Good.
Zach, do you know what to do or how to treat people in an accident?
Not at all. But I know who I can call to do that.
Absolutely.
And maybe an ambulance.
Very true. Very true.
And now let's move on to the reading comprehension, where we will discuss a couple of stories of things that happen to people or unfortunate things.
ახლა კი გადავიდეთ წაკითხულის გააზრებაზე. This is a story about two construction workers who have nearly died. They worked in a hotel which was under renovation. Both of them were in the lift, and when they reached the second floor, the door couldn't open. They decided to go down to the lowest floor, which was in the basement, to open the door. That day it had rained heavily. When they got to the basement, the lift broke down and started to flood. As the water was entering quickly, they started to panic. They used a mobile phone to call the fire brigade. When they arrived, the water was up to their necks and still rising. Hopefully, they were saved.
Another serious accident has happened to a truck driver in New Zealand. He parked his truck and was testing the tires for air when he slipped. The sharp air pipe pierced the top of his left thigh. The air began to pump up his entire body. He was blowing up like a balloon when the ambulance arrived to take him to hospital. Luckily, he was okay because the air didn't enter his bloodstream.
This 1,000,000-to-1 accident has happened to a PE teacher. As he was sitting at his desk one morning, he was making a phone call when lightning struck the school. The force of the electricity traveling down the phone line made him fall backwards. He is expected to make a full recovery.
So now let's move on to the reading comprehension section and answer the true or false questions.
ახლა კი გადავიდეთ წაკითხულის გააზრების დავალებაზე და გადავწყვიტოთ მოცემული წინადადებები სწორია თუ არა.
So Sophie, number 1, do you remember a PE teacher was stuck in the elevator? True or false?
I think this sentence is false because as it was stated in a reading, he was sitting at his desk one morning and he was making his phone call when a lightning struck the school. So he wasn't stuck in the elevator.
Exactly right. And also the number 2, the truck driver got into a car crash. Was that true or false?
I think this one is false too, because I remember we read that this truck driver parked his truck and was testing the tires when the sharp air pipe pierced the top of his left thigh. So that was his accident.
Definitely.
And the next one, the truck driver was saved because air did not get into his bloodstream. What do you think?
Oh, I think that was definitely true, and the ambulances came to help too. So
Right.
it's true.
Very true. And the very last sentence, construction workers got nearly drowned because of the heavy rain. Do you remember, Zach, I read about this accident?
I do, and I remember it's true because that day it had rained heavily, and when they got to the basement, the lift broke down and started to flood.
Absolutely right.
They got very lucky by getting out. Yeah. So now let's move on to our grammar section, and we will discuss present perfect.
ახლა კი გადავიდეთ გრამატიკის ნაწილზე და დღეს ჩვენ შევისწავლით აწმყო სრულ დროს.
So, we use present perfect for an action which happened at an unstated time in the past. That is, when the exact time is neither mentioned nor implied. For example, she has had an injury.
ჩვენ გამოვიყენებთ აწმყო სრულ დროს ისეთი მოქმედებების აღსანიშნავად, რომლებიც მოხდა განუსაზღვრელ დროს წარსულში, ანუ როდესაც ზუსტი დრო არ არის ნახსენები, ან არ არის ნაგულისხმები წინადადებაში.
And we use present perfect for an action which started in the past and continues up to the present. For example, Anna has worked as a nurse for 3 years.
ჩვენ გამოვიყენებთ აწმყო სრულ დროს ისეთი მოქმედებების აღსანიშნავად, რომლებიც დაიწყო წარსულში და ახლაც გრძელდება.
And we use present perfect for actions which have recently finished and the results are visible in the present. For example, I have just broken my hand.
ჩვენ გამოვიყენებთ აწმყო სრულ დროს ისეთი მოქმედებების აღსანიშნავად, რომლებიც დასრულდა ახლახანს და შედეგი სახეზეა.
And we also use it with today, this morning, this afternoon, etc. And when these periods of time are not finished at the time of speaking. For example, she has had 3 surgeries this morning.
ჩვენ გამოვიყენებთ აწმყო სრულ დროს შემდეგ სიტყვებთან today, this morning, this afternoon და ასე შემდეგ, როდესაც საუბრის მოცემულ მომენტში მოცემული პერიოდი არ არის დასრულებული.
And we form the present perfect with the auxiliary verb have, has, and the past participle. We form the past participle of regular verbs by adding ed to the verb. For example, I have fractured my arm.
ჩვენ ვაწარმოებთ აწმყო სრულ დროს დამხმარე ზმნა have, has-ის დამატებით ნამყოს მიმღეობასთან. წესიერი ზმნების ნამყოს მიმღეობა იწარმოება ed დაბოლოების დახმარებით.
We form the past participle of irregular verbs differently. See, seen, go, gone, and sit, sat.
ნამყოს მიმღეობაში არაწესიერი ზმნები იცვლიან ფორმას. მაგალითად, sit, sat, run, run, catch, caught და ასე შემდეგ.
And we form questions by putting have, has before the subjects. For example, have they had a car accident?
იმისათვის რომ ვაწარმოოთ აწმყო სრული დროს კითხვითი ფორმა, წინადადება უნდა დავიწყოთ დამხმარე ზმნით have ან has და მას უნდა მოჰყვეს სუბიექტი.
And we form negations by putting nots between have and has and the past participle. For example, we have not had any accidents.
იმისათვის რომ ვაწარმოოთ უარყოფითი ფორმა, ჩვენ უნდა დავუმატოთ დამხმარე ზმნას not. მაგალითად, I have not caught.
Time expressions used with the present perfect simple include for, since, already, just, always, recently, ever, how long, yet, lately, never, so far, today, this morning, this afternoon, this week, this month, this year, etc. For example, I have never injured my leg.
ჩვენ გამოვიყენებთ შემდეგ დროის აღმნიშვნელ გამონათქვამებს აწმყო სრულ დროსთან. For, since, already, just, always, recently, ever, how long, yet, lately, never, so far, today, this morning, this afternoon, this week, this month, etc. თქვენს წინაშე მოცემულია დროითი გამონათქვამები, რომლებიც გამოიყენება მტკიცებით, კითხვით და უარყოფით წინადადებებში. აი მაგალითად, მტკიცებითი წინადადებისთვის გვაქვს for, since, already, just, always, recently. კითხვით წინადადებებისთვის გვაქვს ever, how long, yet, lately. უარყოფითი წინადადებებისთვის კი გვაქვს for, since, yet, lately, never.
So now let's move on to our grammar exercise and make the sentences using the given words below.
ახლა კი გადავიდეთ გრამატიკის სავარჯიშოზე. თქვენს წინაშე მოცემული არის სიტყვები, ამ სიტყვებისგან კი უნდა შევადგინოთ წინადადებები. And our very first sentence is have a break, had this morning and I. And as always, and as we said before as well, we need to start sentence with the subject. And the subject in this sentence is I. So next will be the verb have had a break this morning. So the sentence is I have had a break this morning.
Exactly right. And then our next sentence is 10 years I have known Anna for. So first we have to have the subject and then the verb and then the object. So it should be I have known Anna for 10 years.
Absolutely right. And let's have a look at the next sentence now. Lost mum, her has purse. So the sentence should read, Mum has lost her purse.
And for the next one, we have has dad eaten chocolates the all. So the answer should be Dad has eaten all the chocolate.
True.
Now let's move on to our next grammar exercise and fill in since or for.
ახლა კი გადავიდეთ გრამატიკის შემდეგ სავარჯიშოზე. ამ სავარჯიშოსთვის ჩვენ უნდა ავირჩიოთ სიტყვები for and since.
So number 1, Sophie, I have known him blank 10 years. What do you think we use in this sentence?
I think we need for. I have known him for 10 years.
Exactly. Great job. And then number 2, they have been here blank 10 o'clock.
So for this one, I think we should use since. I have been here since 10 o'clock because it shows the period of time from a certain point, since 10 o'clock.
Exactly. And the last one, number 3, he has been waiting blank 3 minutes.
Because it also shows a certain period of time, 3 minutes, it should be 4. He has been waiting for 3 minutes.
Great. So now let's move on to the summary.
ახლა კი გადავიდეთ გაკვეთილის შეჯამებაზე.
So first we had the vocabulary section and we went through all of the different body parts in the human body. And we also had vocabulary based on accidents or things that you do to yourself.
Okay, Zach, yeah, well done. And we also, after that, we had a reading comprehension. We read texts about different kinds of accidents.
Definitely did.
And we finished with the grammar. We talked about present perfect.
Exactly. And then, now let's move on to our favorite part, the homework, and write a short paragraph and describe any accidents that happened to you or someone you know.
ახლა კი გადავიდეთ საშინაო დავალებაზე. საშინაო დავალებად დაწერეთ მოკლე აბზაცი და აღწერეთ რომელიმე სახიფათო შემთხვევა, რომელიც შეგემთხვათ თქვენ ან თქვენს მეგობარს.
And please send your homework to the address on the screen.
გთხოვთ გამოგვიგზავნეთ თქვენი დავალება ეკრანზე მოცემულ მისამართზე.
And I think we're nearing the end of our lesson today.
Yes, Zach, you're absolutely right. But we forgot to say that on the address, you can also find the sample of the homework there. But as always, we ask you do not copy-paste because we know that you can do better than us.
Exactly right. I think we probably should say goodbye now.
Yes, we should. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.